Millions of Ugandans voted Thursday, officially ending what's been a violent campaign season. The regime of 76-year-old President Yoweri Museveni has cracked down on opposition candidates, their supporters, and the media in an attempt to hang on for a sixth term. Hadija Nalubega spent more than a week in jail for campaigning for an opponent to Museveni, who's ruled Uganda for 35 years. Today, she cast her vote in the capital Kampala in the face of a massive deployment of police and military.
Are you worried that it might be dangerous for you to come out and vote today?
I'm scared, but I need change. I need change. We want to change our country. That's why I support Chakulani. And that's why I put on red.
So the red is for Bobi Wine, for Chakulani?
Yes.
Robert Chakulani, better known as Bobi Wine, is the leading opposition candidate in the race and a pop star turned politician.
This is a message to the government, expressing what's exactly on the people's mind.
In a country where nearly 80% of the population is under 35, 4 out of 5 Ugandans have never known a president other than Museveni. 38-year-old Wine has voiced the dissatisfaction of a young country tired of a violent, aging dictator. Like other candidates, he's been arrested and harassed on the campaign trail. He's relentlessly targeted by the security services and has survived multiple assassination attempts. We met Wine at his home 2 days before the vote. As we arrived, the guard at his gate had just been beaten by the police.
They beat him up. Look at his lips. And they took him up there and made him sit in the middle of the road.
This is my house. This is my security officer. Okay? You know, you are personally going to be answerable for all the crimes you're committing. You as an individual. And I hope you're aware of that.
Wine has been dealing with violent attacks on his employees, friends, and supporters since he started campaigning. In November, at a protest against his arrest, 54 people were killed.
Are you worried it's going to get worse in the days before the election?
Definitely. It gets worse every day. Every day it gets worse. Every day we wake up to another killing, another abduction, another arrest. Every single day.
Wine is promising his voters he'll change this and end the human rights abuses, nepotism, and corruption that have defined the rule of President Museveni.
We're following Bobi Wine from his house to a press conference in town. He's the leading opposition candidate, and he's just driving himself alone in his car to the event because almost all of his security guys, dozens of his team members have been arrested in recent days. So at this point, he's taking huge risk just to try and do basic things 2 days before the elections.
In a joint press conference with fellow opposition candidates, Wine urged Ugandans to get out and vote, and to film at their polling stations in order to document potential fraud. It's a strategy Wine's used since he started his run for office.
We know that General Museveni prides himself in vote rigging. Your phone is a very powerful weapon. That camera that you have on your phone, please use it.
Why is it so important for you to have cameras around so often?
These cameras are our only security. Those errant security officers will only have a semblance of behaving themselves when there's a camera around, when they know they're being watched. We have been able to expose the violence that is carried out by state operatives.
That tactic may help keep Wine alive, but the people behind the cameras have been taking huge risks.
Some of them are in prison, you can't imagine. A journalist holding a media card of the station. Police officer comes and takes you with no reason because you associate with Geta TV.
Jonan Atusingwize is a journalist for Bobi Wine's Ghetto Media. They've live-streamed Wine's appearances ever since he became one of Museveni's biggest political rivals.
Go out and vote.
During the campaign, a member of the Ghetto Media team was seriously injured.
The Ashraf was shot by a rubber bullet. his skull was injured. To an extent that a part of the skull went up to the brain. But thank God Ashraf is alive. First we thought he had died. We all cried. We all agreed that we have lost Ashraf.
The head injury put Ashraf Kasirye into a coma, and he's slowly recovering.
Alya. Yeah. Lwansonga we yakubira twali tulina bingi byetu okukola. Waliwo ebigenda mu maaso naye byayimirira. Waliwo bye twali tubala naye byayimirira.
Kino kitegeeza ki okoze oba oyogedde ki? One love.
With the polls now closed, Ugandans will have to wait until Saturday for the result. But the country has a long history of rigged votes. So despite his popularity, Wine's not holding his breath for a win.
The election, of course, is not free and fair. I was arrested, but we are in this election because we know the people of Uganda are going to cast a protest vote. We know that we can overwhelm the Museveni dictatorship. And when we do that, we shall be able to free ourselves once and for all.
Would you say that it's all been worth it?
What our country has gone through for the last 35 years, the dehumanization, the abuse of human rights and democratic rights, we want to be free. We want to live a dignified life. We want to be full human beings in our country. So everything is worth it.
What do you say to people who say that being a pop star with a cause or a national activist is one thing, but that it's very different than actually governing a country? How can you convince those people that you're ready to govern?
I do not present myself as an administrator. I'm a freedom fighter. But again, I also know that part of our biggest problem in Uganda is having the big man syndrome. I don't believe in that. It should not be a disadvantage being a pop star. I have used it to rally my people to the right causes.
So what specific steps will you take then to convince people that you won't just be another freedom fighter who turns into a dictator?
General Museveni has always boasted of having liberated us, and that is why he's misruling us and oppressing us. I tell the people of Uganda that we must achieve this liberation, all of us together as a nation, so that not one single politician, not even myself, will wake up one day and say, oh, I liberated you. We are liberating ourselves.
If you look at some of Museveni's early rhetoric, some of it does sound quite similar to the kinds of things that you are saying. Do you think people believe you when you say that you're just a freedom fighter for everyone?
Museveni was saying almost exactly what I'm saying. The only difference is that his approach was violence and subjugation and coercing. Ours is non-violence and inclusiveness and convincing. That is the fundamental difference. Looking at the Museveni of today and comparing him to the Museveni of the 1980s and 90s, you will just agree with the saying that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So, by empowering institutions, we are saving ourselves from ourselves.